ESPN has just released the new college football playoff rankings, thrown them into a bracket, and we have to break it all down. There is one crazy comment also made by ESPN that we will be breaking down, as well as a trend just to pay attention to for college football teams who are ranked number one in the inaugural AP poll of each season. We got to break all this down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Columbus Football 365. Guys, only 5.3% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But let's get into the news for today in the form of the bracket, college football playoff bracket for tonight, November 11th. Ohio State still retaining the number one overall spot as the projected Big Ten champions. Indiana projected as the number two slot. But let's talk about what they have coming out on this bracket. So the first question is who's going to be the group of five champion, because as the number one overall seed in the conference, you get the theoretical easiest path to the championship. And part of that easiest path is who is going to be that 12 seed, the group of five champion. Right now, it's projected to be the victors of the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, the USF Bulls. We're going to find out if they are actually legit enough to hang on to that spot. They have an amazing win versus Florida, I believe in Florida, which looked a lot better at the time, not so good now after they fired their head coach, Billy Napier, but they're still a pretty solid team. But that 12 spot is going to be most likely an AAC team, whether it's Tulane, South Florida. We're going to find out. It also could be San Diego State University sneaking in from the Mountain West. They're creeping up, getting votes in the AP poll, and then also James Madison out of the Sun Belt also creeping up on that 12 spot. But they're going to be matched up with a very, very tough matchup in the first round in the form of probably an ACC team, whether it's Bama, Georgia, or Texas A&M, or maybe even Ole Miss creeping up to get that 5 spot. That's going to be really rough. The group of 5 champion most likely doesn't really impact Ohio State too much, because I don't really see how they could get through 2 top 5 ranked teams. That's going to be really tough for them. But let's talk about the first matchup for Ohio State, or actually before we even get into the first matchup, the conversation surrounding the college football playoff is it actually beneficial to get that first round bye? Last season, we watched every single team, all the higher seeds won round 1, and then all 4 of those teams won in round 2, despite all being the lower seeds. So people are posing the question, is it leading to rest or is it rust to get that first round bye? If you look at me, or if you ask me, you don't ever want to put your guys on the line if you don't have to. You don't want to play an extra game and potentially get guys injured. And you don't want to put out more film on your offense and defense. I personally think you do want to have that first round bye. However, everyone gets 1 week off in between the first round and the end of the season. So you kind of already got a bye. It's more of a double bye, and that's what part of the problem is. I do think the first round bye would be significantly more beneficial if round 1, those teams were forced to play the next week after the conference championship round, instead of getting a week off, because they already have a bye week to prepare and such. But let's talk about what the matchups are currently being projected for Ohio State. Currently, we have the winner of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 9 seed versus the Oregon Ducks. Notre Dame currently boasting their best win as number 17 USC. Beat them 3 weeks ago now. Not the most amazing win in the world, but it's actually more impressive than the number 1 win that Oregon boasts. Dan Lanning's squad, their number 1 win is the University of Iowa. However, in the rain at Iowa, that's a really tough spot to play. We know that Iowa is no joke this year. Their new quarterback, Grunkemeyer, coming over from FCS. He knows what he's doing. He is one of the players with the most touchdowns in all of college football, which is highly impressive. But that's Oregon's best win. And then Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, he's got their guys playing. They're not as good as they were last season. They lost Benjamin Morrison into the draft. I know he was injured for a whole lot of the season, but Notre Dame has lost a lot of their production from last season. Their number 1 win being USC. Again, not something that really should scare Ohio State Buckeye fans. I think we on paper, we should be rolling through these guys, but you never know. That first round bye might hurt us as well. Don't want to see that. But should we get through whoever that is, we would be lined up with a big time semifinal matchup against what is most likely going to be an SEC team, unless Texas Tech is able to get into the 5 seed, moving up from the 6 seed where they are currently slated to be. They're going to have probably a rematch with BYU in the Big 12 championship game. So they certainly will have an opportunity to move up, and you have to imagine, A&M still has tough games to play. Alabama still has tough games to play. Georgia, haven't seen their schedule, but you have to imagine they have tough games to play. One of the number one things that's important for the Ohio State Buckeyes is Indiana being on the other side of the bracket. I know they had a close game against Penn State. Get me as far away from Indiana as possible. I want to be nowhere near that team. They are so good. But you know who is not so good? That for whatever reason, ESPN decided to hype them up. Let's read this from ESPN. Still in the mix. Don't even want to say it. The team up north. The Wolverines have 2 respectable road losses, USC and Oklahoma, but they have a chance at their best win in the country if they can beat rival Ohio State for a 5th straight season. If Michigan runs the table, it will have a 46% chance to reach the playoff, 9th best in the country. Independent of other results, the head-to-head tiebreakers could be a factor when ranking Michigan against USC and Oklahoma, but a 10-2 win against the committee's top team, the Wolverines, would be in the discussion. Well, this is an argument based on, what ifs. What if Michigan upsets Ohio State? And I get it. They're on a winning streak. We walked into that our own stadium last season against them, a massive favorite, and we fell on our face. We didn't play well. We needed to win that game. We won a national championship to make up for it. But if we look at the stats for one Michigan, Bryce Underwood, currently their starting quarterback, 60.9% completion percentage, 1,671 yards on the season, 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I'm going to read that last part again. 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That is absolute. Oh, my finger slipped. Compared to Julian Sayin's 24 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, those numbers are pretty poor. Julian Sayin still putting up over a 80% completion percentage at 80.9%. Sayin is lighting the world on fire, and Ohio State fans could not be happier that Sayin decided to transfer from Alabama after their new head coach, Kalen DeBoer, mispronounced his name. So, very happy to have Julian Sayin. I mean, these stats just do not scream college football playoff team to me. I know that Michigan is a run-first, very run-heavy team, and Bryce Underwood is an extremely athletic quarterback who adds to their run game with his own legs. But these passing numbers, if you get this team down, they are... I'm not going to say they can't, because I have a whole lot of respect for this quarterback. I'm not going to say they can't run a 2-minute drill to make that type of upset versus the Ohio State Buckeyes or against a college football playoff team. But I have not seen enough that would convince me that Bryce Underwood is ready for a spot like that. Now, in the beginning of this video, I also promised a stat that was talking about how the teams who were ranked number 1 in the first college football playoff ranking of the year. So last week, we got our first college football playoff rankings of the year. Ohio State was, of course, ranked number 1, and here's how those other teams fared. From Cleveland.com, of the 9 previous programs that held the number 1 ranking in the college football playoff era, 6 have ended up in the national championship game, 2 have won, 4 have lost. Only 2 teams, Mississippi State and Tennessee, have missed out on the college football playoff entirely. Tennessee was pretty recent. Mississippi State was a long time ago. But so it is not, the point we're trying to make here is it is not a foregone conclusion that just because Ohio State is ranked as the number 1 team in that first poll, it's not a foregone conclusion that we will finish the year in that spot. That Big Ten championship game, should Indiana and Ohio State still be undefeated, that will without a doubt be the number 1 spot. The question I have is, would it be better to light a fire under us by losing that game? Not intentionally, of course, but I'm just saying, if we lost that game against Michigan or Indiana, would that get everyone going? Just like it did last year. It felt like Ryan Day and Ohio State was holding things back schematically, and guys were kind of coasting. We're like, we're so good. We're going to beat this team, beat that team. And then in the playoffs, It was a very close betting line versus Tennessee at the Horseshoe in the first round, but we blasted them, crushed the number 1 team from the regular season in Oregon in the second round, and then played very good football in the 2 final rounds to take home a championship. But is it better to have a new renewed fire in your gut to go out and make more plays? We're going to have to see. Very excited to see how the end of this season is going to turn out for Ohio State. I mean, I guess I have it up here, so we might as well bring it up. Next 2 weeks, not the most exciting games on paper, but I really do think Jerry Neuheisel, there's a possibility that he's going to bring something special for the Ohio State Buckeyes when he makes his play calling debut in Columbus, Ohio. Rutgers, come on now. It's a dub. Ohio State versus the team up north at the Big House. Going to be a close game. ESPN doing a whole lot of, maybe, what if. I don't want to hear it. What if not? What if Ohio State keeps dominating? Let's go get another championship. Let's go back to back. Let's get in that college football playoff, and we'll have more stuff to talk about when we keep winning more football games. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Buckeyes.